here we go. We're recording and live. So we'll get to all this. We'll trim and do whatever we need to do. Okay, so here we go. Uh, there we go. Okay, we have a special interview today. No, sit where you sit. We have a special guest today for BPPA channel, one and only Mike Delawder, the king of banks, one pocket, bank by the rail, probably one of the best in the country. So we're gonna talk about pool life. We're gonna talk about different aspects of the game, and we're gonna talk about Mike and how did he get involved with pool and how's his life going and his dreams, his future, and so on. So, Mike, thank you for coming here.
Appreciate you having me, Vitaly.
Oh, it's always fun. Thanks
Legend,
for
the Russian legend right here.
future legend, maybe.
Try harder than anybody I know.
Future legend. So, Mike, how did you get involved with pool? What brought you to pool?
Well, when I was a little boy, my family had a house on the lake in Florida, and we had a 9-foot pool table. My dad owned a bar called the Lake Mary Pub, and I've always just been fascinated by any game with a ball with it, to be honest with you.
So it's Orlando area.
Yeah, Lake
Okay.
Mary, Orlando, Florida.
All right. And you played as a little boy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play. I kind of threw the balls around as a kid, and then as my parents got older, I mean, as I got older, my parents bought a 9-foot table for the family for our game room, and then my parents got divorced around, I would say like 9 or 10, so I stopped playing pool until about after high school, till about 17 or 18, and then
So what you brought, why you came back to pool after, as a kid, not playing pool?
It's a very good question, Vitaly. When I was 17, my father passed away, and then in a car accident, a kid killed his parents in Georgia, stabbed his sister, came from Georgia to Florida, hit my dad head on at 90 miles per hour. My dad was my mentor. He was my advisor. He was kind of like somebody I would go to for advice. And then 2 years later, my sister passed away. So me and my sister, we played pool every day for at least for about 2 years, maybe 3 years. And then when I was about 20, my sister overdosed of heroin on Father's Day while I was at the pool room. So, it was a traumatic experience. I've never really went through anything like that except for maybe the death of some animals. And then when my sister passed away, it kind of took a piece of me. And I played pool 12, 15 hours a day for 10, 12 years straight. Just kind of a little bit emotionally.
Relief.
I was overwhelmed. I was very, very depressed, and I used pool as a tool. And I always tell people pool saved my life because without that tool, I think I would have taken my frustrations out in another area in life and maybe not have been so successful. But yeah, losing them at the early age of 17 and 20, choosing to play pool, finding something that took my mindset away from the pain, gave me an objective, gave me a purpose. I really think pool saved my life, to be honest with you.
So at what point do you realize that, oh wow, I'm good, I'm gonna go professional?
Well, when my sister passed away, I tried really hard, but I didn't know the process in which manner to get better. I was just kind of a mad scientist. I was all over the board. But I would say the time that I realized that I wanted to be the best, I was on the road with my first road trip with Justin Hall. Probably he's all around world champion. When I say world champion, I mean he won 2 of the 3 disciplines at Tunica, Mississippi, out of 400 players. So he won the banks, he won the 1 pocket. I think Alex won the 9 ball, and Justin won the all around. So Justin's got 3 checks, Alex got 1 check. You know what I mean? And but when I really learned was I was on the road with Chip Compton and Justin Hall, and I watched them play a match of bank pool. And I thought, man, Chip Compton and Justin are the coolest guys I've ever known. They articulate the game more beautifully than any, most any American pool. I think they have the most style. And I got the pleasure to mentor both those guys as a young kid. It was my crew, Justin Hall, me, and another one of our buddies versus like Joey Gray and Chip Compton. And I wasn't a great pool player at that time, but I knew that I loved the game. And I would say that was my first moment I really decided I wanted to be a bank pool champion. You know what I mean?
So you have a memory of like your first major professional tournament, most important professional tournament.
I do. Yeah, I played at Derby with 400 and something players, and I got down to the final like 7, but in the final 10, I was playing Darren Appleton, and Darren Appleton I had watched win the U.S. Open several times. I watched the time Efren got lucky and made a ball on accident to beat him Hill at the Holiday Inn in Virginia, and I was playing Darren, and Darren needed 1 and I needed 3, and it was Hill, and all the Darren Appleton fans were like really embracing Darren, so it was quite emotional. And long story short, Darren tries this shot, he bobbles a straight back, and I come back and I run 3 and out. And when I make the bank to get into the final 7 of Derby, it's a straight back, and it was like a little funny one, and it rolls straight back to the hole, and all the Darren Appleton fans are back there watching. And when I make the ball, the whole room goes silent. Nobody cheers. Nobody says a word. And I'm like, hey guys, it's the first time I really beat a champion. You can cheer for me.
My
But
name,
hey!
my name is Mike Delawder.
So
by the
yeah,
way.
so like it was weird because I was like, man, why aren't these people cheering for me? This is very awkward. Nobody knew who I was. I was a nobody. But yeah, I loved bank pool. I dedicated a lot of time, exercising the rails, exercising physics, laws of physics, and most importantly, the conditions of the table.
Conditions of the table, of course.
Everybody thinks the table plays the same. Every table plays the same, and unfortunately, it's just not. It's not the case, is it? That's the beauty of pool, is the indifference.
So a very big part of your game is a mental part of the game, mental preparation, mental strength. How do you prepare for important match?
Well, I truly believe, not having super high expectations, understanding that pool is a game meant to be played, not won or lost. So, what that means is the person that's the most prepared is the least nervous. So my goal is not to put pressure on myself, but to reduce pressure by being more prepared. So the guy at the gym that does the deadlift and he works on his craft, he recovers his muscles, he eats correctly. When he goes to competition, he feels that he might be able to break records or be better than he's ever been because he's given the correct preparation. And mental disposition is everything. So if you guys are trying to work on your mental disposition, I think being still, like right now, I would say I could be a little nervous, but I recognize the moment. I recognize being still, it equals calmness. Stillness equals calmness. So preparation, being still in the chair, recognizing what you're up against, just mental disposition is super important.
Well, they always say pool is not a boxing match. Your opponent doesn't punch you. You play against yourself.
You do. You play. Pool's a big game where you play the table. However, there are certain games like one pocket where you do play the player a little bit. Like, for instance, if I'm playing John Brumback, I'm probably not going to leave him one of those dress-up straight backs to get the whole rack.
By the way, John Brownback is the legend in banking pool, correct?
He's one of my legends. Yeah, I've watched him win Derby several times. He's a hoot.
Old school banker.
He's a hoot to be around. John is the innovator of the straight back. He doesn't hit the ball the same as a lot of these other guys. John likes to aim them long and stiffen the ball, hit it with quite a bit of speed. He's not a big English-based guy. And, yeah, John's one of my idols for sure.
So, in a very heated moment of tournament or a game, and there's a tons of pressure on you, and I gotta make this shot to win this whole thing.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I'm a big believer that if your cue ball takes the line that you desire, that you visualize, the object ball is associated with that. So, under distress, I try to focus more on my cue ball and understand that they're related. Physics works, so if your cue ball goes down the path or goes the angle into the rail that you desire, the object ball will have a equal, or it will have a reaction.
So
If that
in
makes
the other
sense.
words, you rely on your knowledge and your experience, and you trust yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to be still very hard because I'm a big guy. However, um,
6'6", by the way.
under a tremendous amount of pressure, I recognize that this is exactly the position I want to be in. When you play pool and you feel that pressure, that's what you do it for. When you're a young boy and you meet a girl and you get a tingly sensation, you know that she's the one. Pool makes me feel that way, so I feel as if it's given me more than I've given it, if that makes sense. Pool has given me the ingredients to become the father, the man, the friend, the brother, the athlete. It's given me the mindset, the mental disposition. It's really
How do you deal with a major slump, a disappointment?
when you get in a slump, guys. It's the one thing I do for sure is I start at 0 degrees. I go back to the fundamental base, like your friend Mark Wilson. Shout out Mark Wilson. I the fundamental base is everything. So what that means is you want to stand behind the ball correctly, and you want to address the ball correctly, and you want to perceive the most of the ball. Most people don't realize when you're in a slump, if you go to the straight shot, you're aiming at the most surface area of the ball. Therefore, if you incidentally miss the cue ball, you can see your miss more profoundly. So I go back to the fundamentals. I go back to top, middle, and bottom, and I try to see what the natural conditions are giving me, kind of similar to what Federer plays, like a more vertical access attacker. And then I implement spin slowly, and I try to stay closer to center and move out on the ball. And then I try to increase my speed, and I try to embrace the conditions. You're always going to be nervous if you love something. There's no race car driver that gets out there and He's at the
Calm, yeah.
he's at the he may be calm, but he still feels it.
Right.
And that feeling should make you feel alive. It shouldn't make you feel like, "Oh my gosh, I'm trapped inside my own head." It should make you feel like this is exactly what I want to be doing. So that's kind of how I deal with slumps, playing on different tables, playing you know, lower level players, but giving them a spot that can also help you get out of a spot slump, because you're gonna get more opportunities. You're gonna get more chances. Obviously, if you're in a slump and you go play Federer, he's probably gonna put you in a worse slump. You know what I mean? So, you know, not all the time playing other people helps you with your slump. Sometimes I play independently by myself, and other times I'll give spots, and other times I'll play champions. I just recognize my level of preparation and kind of pick my game from there.
So how do you warm up and prepare for the tournament? For beginner players like me, it's very important. A lot of times people just come in, get right into the game, start shooting.
Yeah, it's a super simple answer. Physics is dependent on speed. So if you start with small angles, 0 to 20 degrees, and all I want you to do is just roll the ball. I don't want you to slide the ball, spin the ball. So you're going to roll the ball, see the natural hit.
See where it's going.
Then you're going to increase your speed. Then you're going to increase your speed. Once you've gone through your speeds, then you go back to your slow speeds with spin. And then you increase your spin, you increase your speed. You unify spin and speed. You work on angles such as, like for me, I work on small angles, which I consider 20 degrees or less. Then I go to 40, 20 to 40. Then I go to 60 to 80, or 40 to 60 and 60 to 80. Federer does this also. He grows the angle. So it's a progressive angle
So
approach.
he gives it a feel to see where he's going with this, and this, right?
Yeah, you start off small, you roll the
Right.
ball with slow speed, then you increase your speed as you get your spin down, then you move to the bigger angle. Slow speed, medium speed, and you slowly increase your speed, and then you add spin, changing the thickness of the hit. So the whole goal is to aim at the ball thick as possible and then work from there. You know what I mean?
So how much time on average it takes you to warm up before the game?
I think that when you're younger, you think it takes more time than you actually take more time than it needs. I think you should have 5 to 10 independent shots. If you look at Shane's warm up, he has 5 or 10 shots that he shoots, and he's measuring the particular conditions of that table and that moment and that time. So it should only take you 10 or 20 minutes, but before a match, it should be 2 to 5 minute warm up to where you have.
Right before the match.
Yeah, I like to shoot balls on the rail. You asked me what I do to get in stroke, and I think shooting the ball on the rail gives you the top area of the ball only. So it makes it a little more specific of a hit. You don't have the entire cue ball, so you can't transfer as much spin. So the natural hit is even more important when you're frozen to the rail. You know what I mean? So I would say frozen shots are a big deal. Spot shots are a big deal.
You take banks, you take
Common
couple
banks.
3-railers.
Yeah, I'm going to kick the ball 3 rails a couple different
See how-
ways.
if the table plays short or long.
Yep, and I'm going to kick 1 railers with top English. I'm going to shoot my 2 railers with running English. I'm going to shoot my 3 railers with 3 different Englishes. I'm going to shoot the 4 railer. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to see how much slide is in the rails, how much it acquires spin, how much it takes to spin. And I'm trying to form what I call a formal basis. It would be similar to a boxing match, right? Like if I was to box somebody, I'm throwing punches to see distance, to
The
measure distance.
To his face.
Once
Yep.
I recognize how close I can get to you, all it is one step in, and now I'm punching you in the face with maximum,
Power.
I'm reducing risk.
Right.
Because I'm not putting myself vulnerable because I've measured the distance first. So yeah, that's a big way. I learn tables as I measure slide, distance, acquired spin.
So basically, you're not complaining about dirty table, dirty balls, worn out cushions because you adjust to all of this.
Yeah. I mean, I play with heavy balls. I play with light balls, and yeah, I don't
Smaller
look.
cue ball.
The common thing Patali people tell me, they say, "Hey, the gold crown plays longer than the diamond." I said, "Well, that's not true. They do, and when they're fully broken in, but if you take a newly worn diamond that's a little bit sliding, and you take a little bit worn gold crown, they play relative because the gold crown may tend to play long in the same conditions as a diamond, but when the bed and the felt, the conditions of the table change, you can actually have a gold crown that plays like a diamond. You can have a diamond that plays like a gold crown, depending on the conditions. So I try not to be too harsh on what type of table, what type of felt, what type of balls. I try to have base angles. I try to measure angles, measure the rails, measure the conditions, and I independently look at each table as its own. When I look at a diamond, I don't even call it a diamond. I call it a pool table. You know what I mean? I don't I don't just always assume this diamond's going to play like that diamond.
Right. You got to check every table you're on.
Exactly.
They could
So
be 2 tables next to each other and they play different.
yeah, especially tables by the door. So when you get a table by the door,
Humidity.
you're going to get a more broken in, a little more sticky, more humid. And if you look at all the pool rooms, generally when the road players come in, they're going to try to put you at the table by the door. But in Florida, we're used to that. Every table plays like it's by the door.
It is actually
You know what I mean?
at the local club Paradise. That's where all the biggest matches are happening, with tables by the door.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing. My intuition has allowed me to develop. I don't even know how I know that, to be honest.
So, very big question: what separates a good player from a bad player?
It's the mind. It's something that I didn't really occupy as a kid, but I recognize that when you play at the highest level in any game, you're probably gonna lose more than you win. And in recognizing that, you realize it's not a game meant to be won or lost. It's a game meant to be played, processed, and you're always developing. You can't beg for greatness. If you play these champions and they beat you, it doesn't make you a loser. A loser is somebody with a bad mentality. A guy that wins is always going to have people come up to him and say, "Man, you played so good. I know you lost, but man, it was a pleasure to watch you play." And to me, that is the profound beauty of the game. Being able to take a win, take a victory in a loss, understanding that every time I lose, I've gained a fan if I've conducted myself the correct way. I know a lot of great pros, when they win or lose, they look like they're terrible.
We're not going to see you breaking a cue stick if you miss the shot, right?
Vitaly, the only time I've ever broke a cue is a terrible thing, and I'm not trying to change the mood, but when my sister passed away that day on Father's Day, I
Understandable.
snapped my cue, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just on accident, and I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to take it out on anybody else, and that was probably the hardest day of my life. And that was the day I realized, you know, pool could help me. You know, I had to change my mindset. I had a terrible mindset. I thought because I was a great athlete, because I was a football, basketball, tennis player, that was going to transfer to pool. But when you play team sports, it's a completely different mental disposition.
Right.
It's like you're out here on your own with these guys. There's no caddies. There's really no assistance. There's just you, the table, and your opponent, and it can be downright nerve-wracking
cue
at
ball.
times. Yeah, and of course, yeah.
There are a lot of different styles. Okay, we got Europeans, they're more robotic. We got Filipinos, they're, I don't know how you even
I
call
wouldn't
that.
say
They're
it's
all loose.
robotic. I wouldn't say it's robotic, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Asians, right?
I can explain them all for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we get Americans,
Yeah,
different type of Americans, of course.
yeah.
So what is Mike Delawder's style?
Well, I would like to be more European, but unfortunately, I grew up playing a lot of spin. I play in humid conditions like the Filipinos. So I want to explain something about the European styles. The European styles are more vertical access pool players.
So less English involved.
Yeah, they're gonna play top, middle, and bottom. They play on newer, slicker conditions, so there's less collision-induced throw.
So they're more pampered style than Filipinos, obviously playing in the rain
Yeah,
and on a beat up, dirty table with a terrible cloth and all that chalk all over the place.
exactly. Yeah, so like the Filipinos, like you were saying, they play in sticky conditions.
Right.
So the sticky conditions actually need more application of spin. You need to reduce the friction.
That's why Efren,
That's why Efren spins the ball so well. But also sticky conditions, you can increase your speed to negate friction. So there's 3 ways to negate friction on sticky conditions: that you can cut the ball, you can spin the ball, or you can hit it harder. So another thing about sticky conditions is you need to go lower on the ball to draw the ball. So in newer conditions, European style, you're kind of more within the nickel of center. You use your stroke to the same functions that you need spin and speed on worn conditions. So I am kind of a hybrid. I try to adapt based off conditions. I try to play more like a Mickey Krause on newer conditions, and then I try to play kind of a little bit like Alex maybe on worn conditions. I have
Mickey Krause is an upcoming European player.
shout out Mickey, one of the most humble humans I've ever known. I got the
I
opportunity to
love
work
to
with
watch
him.
him.
He always gives me a lot of love, Mickey Krause. I got an opportunity to teach him some banks, and I would say he's one of the best bankers in the world, and he's probably one of the most genuine human beings I've ever known, for sure. You know what I mean?
So what is your style?
My style is probably a more compacted, less backstroke, and I like to get through the ball a little more compacted. I try to use my whole stroke, especially on straight shots, but yeah, my style is more spin and speed. I really,
It's
I
like
really don't.
southern Kentucky, that type of.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit quicker warm up stroke, and I kind of snatch the ball a little bit. I slide the ball a lot. I think a lot about when I hit every shot. I'm thinking about how much do I need to slide the ball, in which state of mind am I sliding the ball, and then do I need spin? I really like to manufacture angles with spin, opposed to a lot of European players arc the cue ball. I kind of like to take different lines depending on the thickness of the hit. But yeah, I mean, I'm an American style pool player, Filipino. I think I'm the white, kind of like the Caucasian Filipino style more.
Yeah.
Than
So you as you go, you learn, you change, or you pretty much what you are.
yeah, I mean, like in a perfect world, I play more Filipino style. But like I said, when you're playing on newer conditions, you have to subdue that. You have to hit the ball lighter. You have to spin the ball
Right.
less.
You have to recognize where you're at.
New felt has more deflection. New felt has more transfer of side spin. New felt has less collision. So my theory is reducing spin altogether on new felt, softening your hit up. You don't have to slide the ball as much. You don't have to go as low on the ball. I think all those are variables of new conditions. So I try to adapt. I don't want to describe my style exactly, but yeah, that's I'm more of a Filipino than a European player, but I do desire to understand their style more and more each day I play in those conditions, you know.
What about advice for a beginner player like me, or maybe not like me anymore, but somebody who's starting up the pool? What's the most important fundamental of
You have to
the
stand.
game?
That 100% answer is you have to stand behind the ball the same every time. I know some great players that use their right foot as their indicating their starting
Mm-hmm.
point, and I know guys like CJ Wiley that use their belt buckle.
Okay.
I use my belt buckle behind the ball. I chop my body in half.
Right. So I use
The
this.
center of your body. You
Yep.
can use your belt buckle. You can use the center.
Yep.
I mean, you can use many variations of the center of your body. But in doing that, that gives you a consistent read on every shot. If you step into the ball differently, you might hit it correctly, but now you're steering the ball. So for the beginners, like I said, I start with 0 degrees. I would do frozen, freeze the ball on the rail, and I would shoot fundamental straight shots. I would roll the ball, slide the ball multiple ways. A key to learning conditions and understanding fundamentals is associating the cue ball with speed and spin. So I hit low and slow, I go up, I hit it higher, and I hit it harder. What that does is changes the state of mind of the cue ball, but you get the same outcome. So if you go low on the ball, it winds back and then turns over. If you go higher,
drag shot.
it does one rotation, turns over, then it starts to be just a sliding ball, then it's just a slide. So you're getting a stop shot, but it's teaching you how to change your spin and speed, and it makes sure you're attacking the ball through the vertical axis, and it allows you to verify that you are hitting the ball straight. So now when you use spin, when you change different variables, conditions, that you know at least you attack the ball vertically, giving yourself the best chance of succeeding. Because remember, guys, when you're on the straight in shot, your miss is more profound, because when you miss hit the cue ball on a straight in shot, the spin transfers to the object ball more. So in order for you to iron out your weaknesses, straight in shots are the only way. That's really the only way to get better at pool, is to verify that you can shoot straight. If you cannot shoot straight, physics is going to be absolutely dreadful for you, because you continue to, you're hitting different, you're attacking the ball differently. You know, you have to, you know. So that's my answer.
So I would assume that your favorite, of course, your favorite game is banking. Bank pool, banking by the rail, correct? Is that what it
My
is?
favorite game to gamble at is banks, but I love 9 ball. I love 10
9 ball.
ball. I can beat the ghost at both games. I just, playing the world champions at 9 ball and 10 ball, it doesn't seem logical. These guys.
See, I didn't know that about you. I thought you were
No,
bank. Okay.
no. I just played some $500 sets in New Orleans with a young up and coming champion. He had me down 2-0. I beat him 11-2, and then he had me down 9-7. I beat him 11-9, and I love 9 ball. I just, when I see somebody, if I'm playing on brand new conditions with Mickey Krause, 9 ball is probably not the game for me, right? But I do love 9 ball, and I love what it teaches you. I love manufacturing angles. I love the game. I love one pocket. Banks is just something I've done that helps me master conditions, and it helps me kind of. I gamble at Banks. It pays for all my trips. People socially want to play me, so Banks is a great game. Everybody thinks it's my favorite game, but I really like rotation. I love them all. You know.
Do you
It's
play?
like
Do you ever
chocolate.
play Filipino rotation?
All the time, yeah. I play 1 through 15 all the time. Break. I take ball in hand. And when you say Filipino, kind of like 9 ball,
No,
but-
no.
or do you play by points?
By 61 points. You got to reach 61 points. You spot the ball on the foul and all that.
Yeah, I don't play Filipino style, but I do play rotation. And the theory behind that is the more balls, more congestion,
So
more you have
how
to
often
think.
can you run out 15?
Oh, if the break's good, I mean,
If it's open,
yeah, I think.
yeah, navigate the cue ball around the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you think about it, right? 15 balls, only 6 more decisions than 9 ball. So if you beat the 9 ball ghost 60, 70% of the time, you should at least beat the 15 ball ghost, half that percentage, or maybe 20%. But it's going to be more difficult. But when you get to the table and you're playing 9 ball, it seems like, wow. It's like going to China riding a bicycle. It's very congested. Then you come to Florida and ride a bicycle. Well, if you've never rode a bicycle in China, you wouldn't think, oh, this is crazy, right? And then you go to Florida, you're like, this is nothing. But then when you're on the bicycle, if you've never rode one in Florida, you might think it's crazy. But until you go to China, you don't really know what crazy is. So adding those balls create congestion, create a different mindset. You're not just trying to execute 7 simple shots. You have to master the table. That's
Yeah.
why the Filipinos are the best.
Hey guys, later today we're gonna try that on a local pool table here. See if Mike can run 15. So we're gonna have it on video.
No problem.
No problem.
No
I know
problem.
it's no. He came out yesterday at what 11 o'clock in the evening and ran out 10 from the start.
No warm up.
No warm up, and there's nothing I could do. Do you do drills? Do you have like favorite drill?
I do drills. I do drills, but it's more when people say drills. This is where I think they're failing at, right? Darren Appleton's like one of my idols. Shout out Darren. He has all these unbelievable drills for players,
I do his drills also.
and I think, guys, I think drills are great, but physics is more important. So what that means is, until you can master one shot independently, meaning I set a ball out there, I set a cue ball in the same spot, I mark it, and now I shoot it. Well, yeah, of course I can make that ball. I could probably make that ball 4, 5, 10, 20 different ways. But when you start to move your cue ball, you start to make mistakes because what happens is you'll make it soft, medium, and then when you have to power it and you have to snatch it, you have to hit high ball inside, run it around table, you start to miss the object ball because the hit is different. So I believe you should set up one independent shot and then make the cue ball land on a piece of paper all over. And once you can do that, then you go to another shot, and then you go to another shot, and master each shot individually.
So
that
it
is
helps,
a drill.
It helps you to control the cue ball the way you need to do it.
Yes, because if you think about it, if you hit the ball softly and just roll the ball in, of course you're gonna make it. If you slide the ball and you just go 90 degrees, you're gonna make it. But if you got to send Whitey 3 rails around table, why is it that people don't understand speed cuts the ball? Why don't people understand that when you spin the ball and you hit it harder, you get less variance of spin, you get more deflection. So there's variables that you don't know that you need to work on until 5, 10 years down the road when you have wasted a lot of time playing pool. So the answer is not necessarily drills, but setting up one independent shot, mastering that shot, making love to that shot every way possible, and then go to the next shot. And after you've done 5 shots, 10 shots, and you felt your cue ball and your physics and your spin and your thicknesses and your hits are all correct, then you go to Darren Appleton drills because you had deserved to do those drills. But guys, if you're doing those drills without understanding physics, without practicing the 0 degree line, you'll sleep in the street, you'll never get better. It's impossible. It's impossible. So the answer is 0 degrees, one shot at a time, mastering the cue ball, then go to your drills.
So what Mike is saying.
Great answer.
What Mike is saying here, guys. Okay, he threw out so much information at average pool player like me. My head is already spinning and burning, right?
Yeah.
If you want to learn what he's preaching,
Yeah.
you can find this guy in Orlando. Go on the Facebook, correct?
Yeah.
Contact Mike. I would love to take a lesson from any level. I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you agree? From
I love-
fundamentals to the high science stuff.
I believe in my heart that I can help great players. Every great player that it doesn't
From
matter.
the bottom to top.
Doesn't matter if it's Shane, Mickey, or it could be an amateur. I truly believe the science of billiards and the conditions that of change allow me to always be of assistance. One of my best friends and godfather of my children is a gentleman named Benji Buckley. He beat Jason Shaw on the GB9 tour. He was down, he like 8-3 and came back and beat him 11-8 or something. My point is that science of billiards can help everybody. So there's great coaches and great players. I think I'm a good player. I think I'm a great coach. You know what I mean? A lot of people think I'm a great player, but at the real end of the day, I think physics, conditions, and having somebody be there for you emotionally and help you at your lows to get you to the next step. I think I definitely can provide that for people, especially good players. I feel like I get misread a lot. I think the science of pool can also help the great players. I think a lot of times I'm surprised I don't get the opportunity to work with a lot of great players because this, I think I'm getting a little lost. I feel like a Phil Jackson can help high level players. He can also help low level players. But I really want to help great players, and I want to help. I mean, I consider you a great player, Vitaly. Even though you're very new to the game, I want to help somebody that's working hard, pursuit of greatness, is diligently trying to iron out their weaknesses.
Thank you.
I don't really enjoy. I mean, listen, I love working with beginners that are hungry to learn. I'm just not a big like, hey, I've never held a cue before. I'd prefer to work with people that have hit at least 10,000 balls. If that makes sense. I hope that doesn't run people away from what I'm trying to provide. And I know you would say it's good to work with everybody, and I do want to work with everybody, but I really want to work with people that are ingrained in the game like we are.
Well, as Mark Wilson always says, if you cannot deliver the cue ball where I need you to deliver it, there's no sense of teaching you, because every shot you take is going to be different. So you can't teach a person a next level if they cannot deliver the cue ball where you ask them to deliver it. So I totally agree with you. There's different levels of teaching. Like I started with Mark Wilson, basic fundamentals, until I learned how to deliver the cue stick straight. And then I came see you, I came see other people for different needs. Tom Worst for one pocket and all that. But if I would come to Tom Worst, which he was very surprised with fundamentals and everything, he said, if you would come to me and I see that you cannot do your fundamentals properly, I cannot teach you, because this game takes finesse. This game takes touch. This game takes,
Exactly.
you need to hit the ball 3 o'clock, 1.5 o'clock. As Mike said, 3 different levels of adjustments of English, and on and on and on. It's just, it becomes harder, 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 and harder.
Yeah.
So you have to have your basic fundamental set before you come and learn higher
Exactly.
stuff.
So, Vitaly, to give a little bit in depth to that, a baseball player, when he learns to throw the baseball, he learns to throw it straight. There's never been one human that's ever thrown a curveball as their first pitch. Understanding how to make the ball go straight over and over and over again, then applying the spin, then applying the curve, then changing your variance of speed. And that's how great pitchers become scientists. But without the fundamental base, you're nothing. Because when it comes time to throw that fastball down the middle for all the marbles, your fundamentals better be right.
So we go back that fundamentals needs to be established
In all
before-
regards.
Yes, before anything
In life,
else.
financial fundamentals,
Absolutely.
personal fundamentals, road rage, however you deal with your feelings have to be fundamentally set. I use a lot of examples like on the road. Like if I have road rage and somebody cuts me off and says, F you, I'll say to, when I was younger, I would chase him down. Now I tell myself, man, maybe his dog got hit by a car. Maybe his wife's pregnant. I try to fundamentally accept and receive.
And let go.
Yeah, because there's no benefit for me to get out of pocket with somebody I don't know, and I don't have an idea what's going on in their life. So that's a fundamental principle of the way I live my life now, and it helps me avoid anger, and it helps me avoid problems with people. Not all the time, but I try my hardest.
If they would say, Mike, you can only play in one tournament this year, just only one, and you're not allowed to play anywhere else, what would that be?
Derby City Classic, bro. Crazy? Yeah, it's the
Well,
only
there's a
tournament-
lot of
No.
controversial talks about it, that it's extremely overcrowded. Its matches are going to 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
People are tired.
Sounds-
People are exhausted.
Sounds terrible. 10 days of playing the best players in the world, giving your all. Playing every game. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
real. Yeah, you know what it is? These
Stop
guys
complaining, right?
These guys aren't in good enough shape to play Derby. I recommend you guys go for a swim or something, because Derby is the Iron Man of pool. It's a pinnacle. If you ask Federer, if you ask Mickey, if you ask these guys, when at the end of Derby, they need 5 days off. You ask them, see, the thing about Derby is there's this thing called stroke confusion. And what I mean by that is when you play banks and one pocket, and then you go to 9-ball, and some of those guys are playing straight pool, and they're playing mini tournaments, one-handed, you get confused a bit, because not all games you have to play with the same intent. So banks, you're going to tend to hit the ball firmer. 9 ball, you're going to slow your speed down a little bit. 1 pocket, you're hitting it like a turtle a lot. So you get this thing called stroke confusion. And I think that's the pinnacle of pool, is measuring your various strokes, as the conditions break down at Derby. Not any world championship that, to my knowledge, is 10 days. So at Derby, you get all the conditions. You get all the variations of games. You get all the strokes, all the speeds. And wow, it's such a beautiful game. It's like going to Charlie Chocolate Factory. You got a little bit of everything. It's beautiful. It's nothing like the company that just makes one chocolate bar. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful, beautiful tournament.
So to me, there's 3 eras of pool: 50s, 60s, 70s, up to probably late 80s, correct?
Yeah,
Then it's 90s,
yeah. Buddy Hall, Nick Varner.
right? 2000s, and then modern, I call it Superman pool.
Yeah.
Which era of pool do you like
I think
or
pool's,
you admire?
I think pool's beautiful right now. I think that the conditions are a little soft right now. I really liked the game a little more like Rodney Morris's era, where
Power,
you had the felt and the conditions were a little clammier,
Right.
and you had to have a stroke. And I will tell you something: there's less deflection on worn equipment. So the reason why I feel people have switched to low deflection is because every big tournament's on new felt. So the fact that you get more deflection, it's kind of become where you can hit the ball way less speed. You don't need as much spin. It's not nearly as beautiful to me. Even though I really admire the players of this era, the guys that are just, run out and they're scientists. And those guys also can play in the other conditions. I feel like Buddy Hall, Rodney Morris, that era, Efren Reyes, Bustamante, I feel like those guys, they had bigger strokes because of the conditions. It was a much profound stroke. It
more
was
colorful.
more colorful, yeah, for sure.
All right, so very provocative question now.
Yeah.
Filler today or Efren Reyes at his best?
So yeah, 9 ball and 10 ball filler would give Efren the 8 or the 7 playing both those games in his prime. But 1 pocket filler would have 0% chance. 0.
Because of the, as you explained, the control of the cue ball spin and all.
Efren, it's not just that. If you watch Efren play 1 pocket, the way that he creates, like, I don't know, we played a couple games of 1 pocket last night, and I had a straight in bank, but I elected to bank it off the stack, slide Whitey up the rail.
Yeah.
Efren shoots shots that 99% of the people that ever played the game might not even predict. Nick Varner, Buddy, none of those. If you watch Efren play in his prime, the commentators are wrong half the time minimum, right? When you watch these guys play in the new conditions, there's only 1 or 2 decisions they can make. But if you watch Efren play, I'm telling you, Efren does it different. If you guys get an opportunity to see him play 1 pocket, you'll learn.
So much.
It's just different. You cannot duplicate what Efren's brain is. So yeah, I mean,
So what you're saying is modern super shooters with super firepower outplay original one. I mean, not original, but 1 pocket players like Scott Frost, for example,
yeah.
because they shoot so well from anywhere. They can outplay a 1 pocket player this way.
No, I'm saying that. So listen, Josh Filler proved me wrong at Buffalo's this year. He did exactly what you just said. He shot his way out of everything. But what I'm suggesting is once Efren realizes that, he's not going to play the game the same. He's going to defend you in such a manner that you're going to want to quit pool. You know what I mean? Efren knows how to create value when there's nothing there. Efren knows how to defend value. Of course, his fundamentals aren't as good as Joshua's. Of course, Joshua's a higher caliber ball pocketer. But the mind of Efren, if you could put that in Joshua would give Efren 10-7. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, that's just not how it works. You know what I mean?
So besides pool, what do you do?
Parent. Raise children.
Well, I'm talking about sports activities.
Oh, yeah. I play basketball, play tennis.
He happened to be 6'6", guys, if you ever seen him standing.
I play golf, and I grew up playing ping pong, horseshoes. I grew up playing all games with my. I think I have like 14 aunts and uncles or something. I have a lot of aunts and uncles. My mom's the oldest of 9, and my father's the oldest of I think 5. So I have, 13 aunts and uncles, and it's very competitive. We played all games growing up. But yeah, I do a lot of swimming and a lot of surfing as well. I think swimming is the perfect state of mind you need to be in on the pool table. Calm, cool, collected. Swim a long distance at the same pace. It's not a race. Take your time, control your breathing. I think the sports have helped me a lot, but when I was younger, I went hard, hard, hard. I would just push my body. But I didn't work on my mental disposition. So, yeah, I love all sports. I'm getting old, so it's,
Old, 42?
well, physically not in my prime for those sports.
I'm 55. I don't feel old, guys.
Well, I'm not old in one regard, but if I go play basketball with 25-year-olds,
Of course.
I'm just
It's
suggesting
all relative.
that. Yeah.
So if we take Mike Delawder and send you back 20 years, what would you change about your pool game?
I would fit in great.
No. What would you change?
What would I change?
to become even better today? What would you do different?
I would not have ever started drinking after my father and my sister passed away.
Gotcha.
And probably some people are like, "Oh, don't talk about this because, it'll make your image." But hey, guys, I want to let you know, we all suffer. We all go through pain differently. I'm not here to judge people, but I used alcohol as a tool to control my emotions. And then I realized it was the opposite. It wasn't controlling my emotions at all. So if I could trade anything, I would have loved myself more, and I would have respected the games more, to where I would have invested the time and the routine. Listen, I played every day. I practiced every day. I did drills. But emotionally, I wasn't stable enough to grow as efficiently as I would have liked. And I truly believe alcohol is the root of many evils. And I'm just so happy that I haven't had a drink for 5 years, so I can lead by example and prove
And I don't drink either.
Yeah. I want to prove to the people that, you go through tough times. Pool will always be there for you. The game is the teacher, like C.J. Wiley says. And it's going to give you a gift that you can only receive if you're clear-headed and you love the game and you respect the game. And I don't think that alcohol allowed me to do that. And I'm just so happy it's not a part of my life anymore. But that's what I would
Right.
do 100%.
That takes a lot of courage and discipline.
Yes. People that exercise, I know a lot of men, great men that exercise every day, but then at the end of every day they drink, which is not you, but then they go back. They might not go backwards, but they're not going forwards.
Right.
It's called neutral. They're neutralizing. So you go work out, you go exercise, break your muscles down, and then you get drunk. Well, next day, if you go do that same thing, you're more likely for an injury. You're also not as emotionally stable. So a lot of great people have made terrible decisions drinking, road rage incidents, domestic incidents, whatever the case is, right? Alcohol does not help you. It's not a tool to help you on the pool table. So that would be 100% the thing. That'd be what
So we're getting pretty close to the end of the interview, and I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. What is your most important advice for a beginner player like me?
It's to understand that it's not going to be easy. Physics is something that it changes, guys. Everybody thinks pool is a constant. I hear golfers all the time tell me, "Oh man, we deal with slopes, we deal with humidity and this and that." And listen, pool,
Different irons.
yeah, but pool is the same, guys. The angle, the spin is the club, the angle is the trajectory of the club. What I would tell the beginners is that control your emotions. Do things in your control. When you're playing this game, if you can't control the things you control, such as your mental disposition, your thought process, when it comes time to understand your mistake, you'll be too emotional. It takes you 10 years to control your emotions, then you're 10 years behind where you would have been. So the key to a young and up-and-coming player is Be calm. Sit in the chair. Stay off your phone. Love the game. Whatever you're doing, dedicate your soul to it. And what that means is don't let the game hurt you. You don't have to be in pain to love something, right? That's not normal. So don't let the game torture you. You torture the
You gotta
game.
enjoy.
You got to enjoy the torture. Vitali, when you first came to me, you weren't such a great pool player, but I know that you wanted it. And I know that you were somebody that I wanted to invest in. And in doing that, if I saw you over there complaining after each shot, it would make me never want to be somebody that works with you because I want you to do the things that you can control. And I think you do those well, and I think you deserve all the progressions that you've made. And the reason why you've done that is because you're not a complainer. I mean, guys, every once in a while you're going to make a mistake and you're going to miss the ball. And it's going to be sad time. And you're going to
Many times you're gonna make mistakes.
you're going to find yourself complaining. Every time you complained, you're going to forget what you did wrong, guys. It's very important to control yourself. Recognize that it's not going to be easy. Everybody thinks, man, I can beat the 9-ball ghost. That doesn't mean that you've mastered pool, guys. You have to stay in the middle, nor high nor low. Just control your emotions. Do things in your control. Write down on a piece of paper, what are the things that I can control in my pool game? And if you do all those things, there's no way you don't get better. Now, if every time you go to your chair and you lean on your arm, you're like, I hate this game. It's so stupid. Why do I do this? Well, you have failed yourself for the day, and you've probably set yourself back 3 weeks. Okay? So focus on what you can control. Stop whining. Stop complaining. And understand it's a hard game, and you will get better.
Can I add a couple things from my experience?
Absolutely.
Hard work, homework. There's nothing is free in this game. You have to work for it. If you don't do your homework, if you don't do your shots, drills, if you don't do things that guys like Mike teaching you, and repeat, you're not gonna get better. If you're just shooting balls and thinking that's that practice, it's not a practice. So you have to work hard at it. Nothing is free at this game. Absolutely nothing.
It's not free, for sure.
Hard work.
Love the game. Treat it like you would treat your child. Love yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat your child. If Vitaly, if you're playing and you put a little mini version of yourself and it's your baby, and if you miss a ball, you don't say, hey, you stupid, why'd you miss that ball? You say, hey, little Vitaly, I want to let you know that we made a mistake there, but we missed it thick, we missed it thin. It's okay. Go back to the drawing board. Understand why you made that mistake and work from there. You always draw from your mistakes. Your mistakes are what going to make you a champion, not you running out. Because in every run out, I'll show you a flaw in what you did something incorrect. You might have still achieved the objective, but to me, the objective is stay under control and pay attention. And like you said, hard work and dedication for sure. You know what I mean?
Like pretty much at every my practice video or stream, I always say, I'm not here to impress you guys that I can make this shot or that shot, or I can run 15 balls, or I can do this and this. I'm here to show you that when I practice, I make mistakes. And I work on those mistakes, not to make mistakes in the real game, in the real tournament. So it's always constantly working. It never stops.
Yeah, but don't work hard angrily.
Correct.
Don't work hard angrily. Work
You
hard.
just got to analyze what you did wrong, what happened,
Process. Recycle.
do it again.
The key to pool, guys, for you young players is to have a short memory, but to have a good memory at the same time.
Absolutely.
So I want to remember my mistakes, but I don't want to carry them into the next shot. So if you carry all your flaws everywhere you go, guys, you'll just be a broken man at the end of it. At the end of your career, you'll say to yourself, this was a waste of time. Well, I'm here to tell you, pool saved my life, and it'll never be a waste of my time because I take what it gives me. I don't just say, oh, I played bad today. What a stupid game. I say, you know what? I didn't play to the best of my ability. I'm going back to the drawing board, and I'm going to figure this out because I love the game so much that I'm never going to let it hinder me. I'm going to let it grow me and build me up. You know what I mean? So
Mark Wilson always says you can never play with your A game every time. You have to learn how to win with your B game.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Your B game's huge for sure.
so here's the next chapter for Mike Delawder. While we're here, actually, uh, Mike is gonna expand his teaching capabilities and offer a lot of lessons. He's
Yeah.
gonna get his YouTube channel up and going, and he's gonna post different stuff on the channel to help upcoming or beginner players like me, because Mike loves to share
For sure.
his
sure.
knowledge with people that dedicated and want to do time at the table and work hard at it.
I'm opening a billiard academy in Orlando, Florida. I've invested 164,000. The property I bought was about 300,000. I have a mortgage on it, and I've got an extra parcel of land in the back. I'm going to be building a billiard academy there where you can work on mental disposition. You can come to Orlando and go to the theme parks. You can train with me, and everything I do is money back guaranteed. And I know that you probably say, Mike, don't say that, don't say that. Listen,
No,
I've never been
I can say that because I remember coming off your first banking lesson
Yeah.
back to home and playing one packet.
Yeah.
And I saw, what the hell happened to this guy? Is banking like God? Truly. Mike, no, I could never make 8 banks in a row. I made 8 banks in a row. I got it on my videos, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, what? What happened? Well, I went to see this guy, Mike Delawder. He taught me a few tricks, right?
Means a lot to me, Batali. I, I've always been the youngest in my family. I've always fallen short in my family.
Short, 6'6". Come on, man.
Besides my height, but to be able to be a leader amongst men, and when I say that, I say that with responsibility. Like, it touches my heart to be able to see somebody do something they've never done. And if you've ever got an opportunity to do that, you know what I'm saying. And it's an honor to watch somebody glow. It's the same with my children. When I see them do something they've never done, and they come and give me a big hug.
So I became your fourth child, right?
Actually,
Fifth.
my fifth.
I
Yeah, I
know,
have a
fifth. I'm
stepdaughter
sorry,
and
fifth, yep.
yeah, four, and then I
Um,
have you. You're a little shorter than my 10-year-old, but I'm just joking. But yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm opening a bill-
how can we find you?
So Vitali's gonna help me start an Instagram, and he's gonna help me start
YouTube.
YouTube, and I'm gonna get a tablet today, and he's gonna teach me how to do videos, and kind of as I've taught you. And you can always hit me up on the House Pro at Rax Billiards in Sanford, Florida.
Facebook.
You can hit me up on Facebook, and I'm on there, and you can send me a message. And
I would
if
like
you,
to get some lessons from you, Mike.
yeah, and if you want to tell me your weaknesses, and I can design a lesson plan around that, it would be an honor to work with you. Once again, I've helped a lot of great players. I worked with Mickey Krause, Kyle Bova, Trenton White, a lot of great players. I've had the opportunity to express and help, and their friendship means the world to me. And without them, I would be nothing. They are my student. They're my how would I say it? My guinea pigs. I don't know how to explain it, but
Punching bags?
Yes, and it's been a great journey growing. And I truly feel when I was younger, physics let me down so much, and it was the opposite of what I thought. And these conditions, I always thought this is the ball. You can spin the ball in worn conditions better, but that's the opposite. And there's laws of physics that I didn't understand, and I want to give you guys that. I want to show you the adjustments for conditions. And that's always been what I've preached. And I don't think a lot of people that teach pool teach that. And that's kind of my thing, and I want to touch you guys' hearts, and I want to prove to you that I'm a worthy investment.
Well, what if the student beats the master? How do you feel about that?
It's happened. Trenton White is my student. Kyle Bova is my student. I just played Mickey Krause, Banks by the Rail. He beat me. Most people are like, well, how's that possible? Well, his fundamentals are perfect. He plays in the slickest conditions. He's humble. He pisses excellence. He's got a great support system, and he had a great teacher. And You know, it hurts to lose,
But
but
it feels
it
good.
makes me proud. It makes
Yep.
me proud. Yeah, it makes me realize that there's equity and value in what I
I'm
offer.
gonna try to beat him today, guys.
So what Vitali's doing there, it's not good. It's great that he's competitive and he's a wonderful man, but when you're playing pool, stop trying to win, man. You think it's about winning, but that's why you get tension in your arm because as soon as you see the finish line, you trip over your own shoelaces. And it's not you, it's everybody. Even if you watch Federer and Shane when it's a close match, when it gets to the finish, they're thinking about finishing. But really, you just need to think about what is the best decision, what is the most objective thing I can do here. Whether it be emotional disposition, whether it be measuring distance, whether it be the delivering your stroke, whether it be your stance, however you need to think about it, but it needs to be objective and it needs to be neutral emotionally. So
So, very last question before we go: carbon or wood?
I don't know. I saw a guy's carbon shaft yesterday. He was playing and he was using inside, and the cue ball was deflecting like a mile. I don't understand why you guys use carbon. I guess it's because it's supposed to deflect less. But my theory is I use less spin and tack the ball vertically. I'm reducing my deflection that way. But you know, when you say wood, I'm not just using a piece of wood out the lake here. I'm using cured wood that has been shaven off 0.3 millimeters every 6 weeks. It's hung, it's dried, it's cured, it's put in the oven. So when people talk about wood versus carbon, I think it's all relative. Like it's like my analogy versus the gold crown versus the diamond. There's carbon cues that deflect less. There's carbon cues that deflect more. There's carbon cues that don't draw the ball as well as other ones. There's wood shafts that are just dead wood, and there's wood shafts that are alive, that are like breathing animals. You know what I mean? The wood is alive.
Organism, yep.
Yeah, and it's cured and baked in an oven. And if you don't know anything about that, then yeah, you probably should play with carbon. You know, uh, I think it's each individual. You know, it's like
What makes you feel good?
well, what vehicle suits you? Well, do you deliver plants for a living, or are you driving 200 miles a day and you want to drive a Tesla that gets 200 miles to save on efficiency? It's all depending on what your feel is. But what I do recommend is when you're shooting your straight shots, when you're shooting your angled shots, start out slow, medium, firm, and try to get an idea of how much the spin is deflecting. And if it suits your eye, then that probably the cue for you. But yeah, if I played on new felt all the time, I think I would play a little lower deflection. But
So, what brand of the cue stick you play with?
I play with a Chris Nitty
Okay.
/ David Elliott,
Where is it made?
Orlando, Florida.
Oh, so it's a local guy.
2014 Cue Maker of the Year, and the guy's a master. Like I said, his cues are, to me, like a Dennis Searing or a Joe Blackburn so, yeah, Chris Nitty is my guy. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, let's all take. Thanks, Mike, for coming and giving us this wonderful interview.
Yeah, for sure.
Please hit him up on Facebook. You can easily find him there. And if you want a lesson, you can always leave a message, and he's gonna answer quick, right?
I will answer quick. If I could teach you guys pool free, I would. My wife's, we have 4 children, and I'm tired of working outside in the
Well,
heat. And but it's a well worth investment. Invest in yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't believe in teaching free because people got to have a value of their money.
Exactly.
If you teach for free, people just
It goes in one ear, out the other.
Yep,
When I taught
absolutely.
you, Vitali,
Absolutely.
I gave you some lessons, and you went to your table and you went there with intent, and you came back to me 3 times a better player. And of course, if it wasn't for Mark Wilson ironing out all those fundamentals, of course, maybe my way might not have been so profound for you.
No, I mean,
But I'm just saying, you came to me a straight arrow. You came to me a straight arrow, and you applied physics, and you were on fire for the game. And you're able to teach yourself and know your mistakes now. I just feel like that's a big contributing factor to success on the pool
absolutely.
table.
You have to recognize what you're doing wrong.
For sure.
That's the number one thing to get better.
I do group lessons, and I also do individual lessons. And Once again, when you work with me, we'll do a 2-hour lesson, for instance. If there's something that if you feel that my way is not appropriate for you, I want you to leave, and I want you to I will respectfully decline the payment. I'm not worried about the money. However, it is a business, and my goal is to really give my all to my students. So if it sounds like something you're interested in learning, angle, spin, speed, inside the pocket adjustments, measuring distance, measuring conditions, fundamental base, kicking, banking, defense, position play, I truly feel that I can help you with all of that. And if you want to play like a European style, I can teach you that style. If you want to play Filipino style, I can teach you that style. I can show you what angles the Filipino style works better. The European style, I can give you, fundamental bases for all styles. If you like to do a short backstroke, I can teach you quarter backstroke. If you like to be Feder Gorst, I can teach you the whole stroke, 12 inches if you'd like. If you want to be Josh Filler, we can make a 10-inch bridge and you pull it back 2.5 inches. We can make you like John Mora, pull it back halfway. However you want to play.
How about lefty?
I cannot teach you how to play lefty. I mean, I can help a lefty.
I'm learning my left hand.
Well,
I'm practicing with left.
when your arms are as long as mine, stability doesn't
You
come
don't need
easily.
to- yeah, I
So
gotcha.
being left-handed is kind of brutal.
Yeah, but you can reach as far as half of a table.
I'll just use the bridge and my
Yeah.
extension. But yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested in doing lessons, it would be an honor to work with you. And
And you're not, guys, truly, you're not gonna regret
for sure.
this lessons.
For
'Cause
sure.
You're gonna learn so much. I remember leaving him after. Actually, I remember being there for 4 hours, probably right first time.
Yeah, 4 hours.
And in 2 hours time, my head started overloading with so much information. Thanks God I recorded everything.
I feel like I want to give you a lot, and I knew
Right.
that you were worth it.
But the thing is, I came from far, and I didn't want to do 2 hours and leave.
Yeah, your drive is 6 hours, and
Yeah, I'm driving 6 hours, and I'm doing 2 hours and leave. So I did all full hours. Then 4 hours. Then we played for an hour maybe or so.
yeah.
And I recorded everything. And
You definitely got better, Vitaly. I know you're being humble right now, but you deserve a lot of respect for playing for such a short period of time. I would say, out of all the people I've played with, you've grown exponentially faster than anybody. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Yeah, respect, Vitaly.
all right, guys, we're gonna close the shop. Thank you to Mike Delawder coming out here. He's actually drove 3 hours to see me, right?
I did. I mean,
Yeah.
I promised you I would pay you the same
Absolutely.
courtesy, and I don't break my word.
Absolutely.
So.
He's a man of his word.
Yeah.
Hit him up on Facebook. We're gonna start the YouTube channel sooner or later. We're gonna do other things, so you're gonna start seeing him more and more. And one and only, Mike Delawder.
Thanks, Vitaly.
Thank you.
Respect.
All right.
Champion identities.
Hold on.